Yo, what up? It's Mike Live. You're watching Sunfire Films TV. Let's go.
I got a guy with me today that, first off, I just want to say, man, I'm super proud of. You know, I've been watching his moves, and when I first met him, he had recently just moved to the city, moved down to Charleston, and, you know, he was finding his way and meeting the right people and trying to connect the dots of everything that was going on in the city. And over the last few years, I've been seeing his growth. I've been seeing he's been doing his shows and started off with merch. Now he's got his own clothing line, and they're traveling, and this man's drumming and DJing, and he's doing everything really. And I'm proud to say that, like, I even know him. I'm proud to say that I've seen the growth, and I see a lot of things from afar, just because life be lifing. But I'm super proud of him. You know, he's a guy that, like I said, I've seen him and watched and saw the growth. But we're gonna get down to know his story a little bit better. I know him a little bit. We're gonna get to know him a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? We got rapper, fashion designer, clothing designer, entrepreneur, Mike Live.
My guy.
What's going on, brother?
I feel like Ric Flair. I'm like 16-time heavyweight world. Woo!
Everything.
I love
man.
it. I love it.
Like I said, man, I'm super proud of you, man. Like, if that even means anything, you know.
No, it does, man. You were definitely one of the first people. I mean, when I first moved here, me and you had worked on a little something
Right.
at the first place that I lived at.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of crazy to think. Me and you've known each other like 5 years now.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, we met outside. I think that was Windjammer, man.
Yep.
You know, I
after
see-
this, you know, you gave me my flowers, but, you know, one thing I've learned about any kind of passion, especially our field of entertainment and kind of what this is consistency. You
Right.
know, a lot of times you'll never see any of that growth and building if you don't just consistently go, you know, and continue, and you have been as well. Whole
Yeah.
time I've been grinding, you've also been grinding.
Right.
You just have this badass backdrop always, bro.
Yeah, man. So,
Yeah.
like I said, I've seen a lot of things from afar, you know, social media, just because life is life. And, you know, I got a family and kid and all that stuff. One thing I told myself, like, moving forward, I'm gonna try to get back out a little bit more, man. Like, I'm one of those guys that I don't go out as much as I used to. You know, people see me, but they don't see me as much as they used to, just because I can't move like how
You got
I
the
used
fam,
to.
man.
I got the
Yeah.
family, man.
If
But
I had a fam, you probably wouldn't see me. That half of that spiel would have ended. You would have ended that whole spiel in like 30 seconds. You're like, so we got a rapper here, and his name's Mike Live, and that'd be
Right.
it. You know.
Yeah,
So-
but like I've been watching, paying attention, man, and like I said, I'm a definitely try to get back out to support more people people that I have in the past, and people who don't see me as much. That's definitely gonna be something I gotta definitely do more of, man.
Well, you're picking a good time, man. I've watched this scene grow. There's I mean, the scene has always been filled with talented artists and good people, but I feel like it's kind of continued to grow. There's a lot of really cool people that have moved to town in the past few years, and they're, like I said, man, what's super dope about the Charleston scene is I've done recent podcasts on other people's shit recently, and I've said the same shit. Like, Charleston has got quite the underground scene that is not only talented, man, these people are cool. Like they challenge me to be cooler. Like, sometimes I have a little ego or complex, or maybe that's just me overthinking shit, but people are so cool artists here that it's a privilege and a honor, and, you know, I feel dope to be a part of this scene because of the quality of person and artist that is actually in the Charleston scene. So
Right. Man, you jumping ahead, man. I was gonna ask you about that, but anyways, we're gonna rewind, man. Go back to the early days, the younger days, because you from North Carolina, born and raised.
born and raised.
So talk about like life in North Carolina and how that was going for you.
It's interesting, man. You know, it's crazy. So whenever I was, we'll say around 4 years old, I realized that my name was Michael, and so was Michael Jordan, right? when you're 4, like if me and you grew up together and you like French fries and I like French fries, we was homies, we was best friends. We had that in common.
That's
so
how
cool.
it goes.
So, when you're 4 or so or young, you see these similarities. You're like, oh, I really like this person. Like Michelangelo was my favorite Ninja Turtle. Why? We Michael, right? So long story short, like from the age, like my first day of school, I was dripped head to toe in Chicago Bulls and Jordan gear.
Okay.
Now the reason I take pride in that, and it shows a little authenticity in who I am. First of all, I'm still a Bulls fan, which is not that easy to say anymore. But no, I didn't have any outside influence. Like a lot of times when you're young, you like certain things, or your religion is this because of your surroundings, your environment. If your dad liked baseball, then normally you're gonna be a baseball player. You better like the Braves.
Right.
Nobody from my family was head over heels about basketball per se. Like my dad was more baseball and shit like that. He loved NASCAR racing.
Right.
But nobody else in my family, nobody's from Chicago or nothing like that. So it was one of those things where sometimes a kid would naturally gravitate towards something. There's nothing you can do about it. You could be a drummer and want your kid to be a drummer, but he might turn out to be a saxophone player, and that's good for him. You know what I'm saying? But you love drums, so you want him to be a drummer. But now he's a sax player, and it's like, all right. No outside influence. I've always been very Michael Jordan, right? And Bulls. Now, as you know, growing up, that being my first love and playing basketball my entire life, especially, and this is in the 90s, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
My first day of kindergarten was literally 1990, right? So I literally grew up through the 90s in love with Jordan. So with that being said, it's like, at home in my family, like I'm raised by like rednecks and hillbillies, but meanwhile, I'm out playing ball all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a lot more of a urban culture and influences and things we do and say and dress and act,
Right.
So majority of my life, I've had that, like this country twang, but it's slightly influenced by basketball culture more or less. I mean, even to this day with the clothing line, people say, what's your clothing line? I say it's streetwear for sneakerheads. And it's mainly influenced by like some of my favorite basketball players. They film them coming into the arena. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, Jason Tatum pull up and he'll be wearing like fresh dunks with the perfect shorts and the vintage tee. It's still influenced by basketball to this day. You know what I mean? So
how did that happen? You just turned the TV on one day and started loving basketball? Like, how did
I think, you got to think Jordan is huge, right? I mean, he's literally like about to be a global star. So 90 was the year, the 90-91 was when he won his first championship, right? So the hype is huge around Jordan at this point. So, it was very easy to turn on the TV and just happen to see it. So it was as simple as that, whereas like I just realized his name. It's real crazy though. Sorry, your boy got acid reflux. People watching are like, what the fuck is wrong with that old man? So my name's Michael. He's Michael. He's from North Carolina. I'm from North Carolina. He's born in 63. My dad's born in 63.
Right.
I want to say the Jordan 1 might even have came out on my mom's birthday. And not only that, I'm born in 85. The Jordan 1 came in 85. So when I look back and I see him in the 11s, I know that I was 11 years old during these. So I'm the same age as the Jordan shoe. There's so many parallels. It was written in the stars for me to be this white Jordan kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what part of North Carolina are you from?
It's a small town called Forest City in the foothills. So if you have like Charlotte here and Asheville here, we're kind of in the middle. I always describe it as a good place to drive through and not stop. Not a lot popping.
So like you said, not a lot going on. Like, what was not even just your childhood like, but what was growing up in North Carolina like?
Well, my mom and dad split up first of all, my mom was 16 when I was born. My dad was 20. Neither one of them graduated high school, right? So, and then they proceeded to do they broke up when I was 8, and so they did joint custody. And mind you, these are kids that are trying their best. As I grow up and I be introspective and look back and try to understand why I might deal with certain shit. Right. And I see these facts and I'm like, well, that checks out. This is what I was raised by. However, I always had love, right? And it was all good. But it's also one of those things where religion was pretty big, So I drank the religion Kool-Aid for quite some time and then moved away to Raleigh, North Carolina. You start to learn some other things. You got to find your balance and make some internal, personal decisions about how you feel about books and afterlives and stuff like that. That's a whole nother podcast we get into. But as far as where I'm from, very small town, blue collar, hardworking people, you know what I mean? But you definitely went to church every Sunday kind of thing, Yeah, I mean,
You
I
got brothers,
suppose
sisters?
I was born and raised the only child. My dad got remarried whenever I was, well, he had my first half brother when I was like 16, 17, right? So I have two half brothers. We share the same father,
Yeah.
but the first one wasn't even born until I was like 17. And I moved out when I was 19.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have brothers, but I wasn't raised with brothers.
Them.
Yeah, I was the only
Gotcha.
child.
So did you move to Raleigh by yourself, or was it a family move to Raleigh?
So my best friend in the world, he went to Raleigh. He went to NC State.
Okay.
And whenever he went there that first year, and he was like, Mike, if you ever plan on doing something with your music, man, you got to get out of the little small town Forest City and branch out and do some things. So he kind of talked me into it. So at like 19, I moved up to Raleigh.
Okay.
I stayed there for like a year or so. And
Yeah.
then I came back and did a little college in my hometown again. And then I moved back to Raleigh, and then I lived there for like 8 years or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was there where I had basically got my legitimate hip hop career started, was in Raleigh. I joined a band called The Balance. We were an 8 to 10 piece band for like 8 years. And the first show I ever did, I was 21. It happened to be in Chapel Hill.
Okay.
So my birthday's in January. In January, I'll be performing live music for 18 years.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. I sound old. I probably shouldn't even put that out there.
Man, my journey's long too, man. So anyway, so you were in Raleigh, then you left Raleigh and went
Asheville.
What made you leave Raleigh and go to Asheville?
Man, that was a low. It was a big low for me. At that point in time, I had I broke up with a girl. I thought I was going to go to Wilmington, right? And where I was going to Wilmington was a fully furnished place. So I sold all my belongings thinking that I was going to get a job there, and I was going to a fully furnished place.
Mm-hmm.
And I put in my 2 weeks there, and I also had the guy I was living with, my roommate. I'm like, go ahead and find you somebody to replace me. So here I am. I blinked my eyes out, and my band broke up too, right? Of 8 years, right? So I lost my passion. I lost the love of my life. I'm jobless. I sold all my material possessions.
Yeah.
I don't got a home or anything, right? So you talk about rock bottom. My mom was like, I didn't have to do this, but she was like, Mike, why don't you just come up here, live with us for a little bit, get your feet back on. I was like 28 at this point. So like, as if I'm already rock bottom, now I'm moving in with Mom Dukes at 28, right?
You gotta do sometimes.
So I ended up going to Hendersonville, North Carolina, which is like 20 minutes outside of
I've been there.
Asheville.
Right.
And not only that, going from Raleigh to Hendersonville, especially like that was like 10, 11 years ago at this point, whenever that happened, right?
Uh-huh.
So Hendersonville's starting to kind of grow. But man, going from Raleigh to Hendersonville at the age of 28, oh man, like bars didn't even stay up until 2.
Yeah.
There's like
Step
literally
back.
no girls to look at or holler at or nothing. And here I am like 28 and single, and I'm just like, wow, you know. So it was a shell shock situation. But eventually I would move from Hendersonville to Asheville. And I lived in Asheville for 6 years.
Yeah, man. I've been to Asheville once. Might have been, only one time. I had a good time, man. Like, the way I describe the city, to me, it's like very, like, hippish, very eclectic. Like, everybody is, like, they're friendly, very cool, real laid back. I don't know, like, I joked around and I was like, Asheville seems like everybody, no matter if you're going to a fancy dinner or if you just going to the store or something like that, everybody looks like they just got out of bed and they're going. Like, you know, this is at least for what I saw. I never saw anybody real flashy, nobody like real dolled up. Like, everybody looked like they just got out of bed and they went to the store. Like,
I mean, for the most part, you're right. I mean, by the time I got to Asheville, I didn't really like Asheville. It was very different in that, in a weird way. To me, it was different, right? And so it took me like a year to basically get acclimated. I think it took six months for me to grow in Asheville, and then 6 months for Asheville to grow on me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But by that first year, bro, I was in love with Asheville.
Yeah,
I really
like
loved
Asheville.
it. And it's interesting. So in Raleigh for 8 years of rapping, I established a reputation for myself and kind of built some like stature on the scene where I had a little like clout and value to who I was as a performer and an artist and everything. So then when I moved to Asheville, that shit does not carry over to New City, right? So I go to Asheville and I'm literally bottom of the food chain. I'm like, but wait, I do cool shit over here. And, you know, they don't know that and they don't really care, right? So you literally start at the bottom again and work your way up. But by the end of that tenure, I met a guy named C. Shree, the professor. We're still in a group called FTO, or Free the Optimist. There was a span there where we was doing we both had full-time jobs, and we did over 150 shows a year. 2 years in a row, we was Carolina's hip hop group of the year. So we was putting in work during that period of time. I mean, we opened for some big names. I don't want to be that fucking guy that name drops, but there was a 2-year span where if anybody dope came through, we were the direct supporting act. So we was really had a good run in that city for a long period of time. And then I've just always been a beach bum, man. And I get depressed during the winter. If I didn't go to the beach a lot in the summer, I would be really beating myself up. So I was like, you know what, I'm a grown-ass man. I can just move to the beach. So the only reason why I ended up in Charleston was I love beach. I love palm trees and the ocean. And I transferred Trader Joe's because I used to work with Trader Joe's. So they had one here and there. And I just transferred and moved my ass over here. And then once again, nobody knows who you are in Charleston, right? So I have to build myself up, which is pretty much where we met. I'm like, hey, man, I promise I got some shit up my sleeve. I can do some things, you know what I mean? So luckily this scene's been good to me, and I'm very happy here. So
do you feel like, I guess, moving so much and how you said you had success in all these other places and doing so many great things, was that like I don't want to use the word hinder, but like, do you feel like for the road that you were trying to go down, starting over, do you feel like that's what you should have did, or should you have just stayed?
I mean, I suppose there's multiple ways to look at it. I look at it like I've been here for 5 years, and I've shown like what I can do in a new city. I'm kind of inspired to start again, but in a bigger city, like go to New York or ATL.
I was going to ask you about
that. And the thing is like, all it is me spreading who I am and value, and like, you know what I mean? It's really, it's like if you owned a store, you wouldn't just only own one store in this city and stay there for the rest of your life. If you could open up another store 3 states over or whatever, you would do it. So it's kind of like me opening up store, metaphorically speaking, you know what I'm saying? So it's actually a blessing. And at some point, I've only done it in cities like that, but I would really love to test my value in a city that could just swallow me whole, like New York, you know what I'm saying? Or even, like I said, ATL. I mean, you know, if you can kick up some dust in these cities, which I believe in myself, and I've shown that I've done it in these cities, so why not put myself to the test now? Mind you, it's very expensive to move. I can't just snap my fingers and go give it a shot. But this year I flew to New York like 8 times via the clothing line. I haven't really established myself on the music scene, which I'm working on. I've just been every time I go up there, it's strictly clothing. Like, you know, I got my focus on that, so. Yeah, man.
Yeah, like we close on age, man, and you know, I just...
Are you 27 too?
Yeah.
Good, man. That's what's up, bro.
Yeah. So, I just look at my journey and all the things that I've did and moved around and, you know, kind of starting and stopping and starting and stopping. Like, do you feel like, I don't want to put an age limit on anything that people do, because you can accomplish anything at any age. I'm like a big believer of that. But do you feel like, I guess the big city, but I guess what I should ask you is like, what are your like big goals and your big dreams? Because like, you know, you do want to go, seems like, to a bigger city and basically kind of start over in a sense. So like, what are the big things that you want to do?
You know, it's funny. I remember when I very first got started at 21, you hear all these stories where you was at the right place at the right time and you got heard by the right person and you signed a contract and you know what I mean? That seemed like such a prevalent thing, and we were dope enough that I was low key waiting on some shit like that to happen, and then you blink your eyes and 10 years go by and you realize, okay, well, let's reevaluate what success means, you know what I mean? And for me, this is the first year I've actually done it where what I can kind of consider success is, can I pay my bills and live happily and be satisfied while still having goals and growing and building, right? I think even if you're J. Cole, he still has goals and like achievements he's trying to level and accomplish even at that level. So For me, what used to be like, all right, I'm gonna be a big star and have all the fortune and fame and be the whatever. Now it's more like focus on your surroundings and the people within shouting distance and the ground underneath your feet, and not get so lost in like the stars. And like I said, that was the young buck, 21-year-old me thinking that. So nowadays, man, I mean, the fact that right now for the past year, this December will make a year that I've been an entrepreneur. To, you know, if I meet somebody at a bar and they say, what do you do? And I can say I'm a traveling musician and I have my own clothing line, I DJ. That has way more integrity to me than saying, you know, I bag groceries. Nothing wrong with bagging groceries, nothing wrong with Trader Joe's. I was with Trader Joe's for 14 years. Right. Definitely nothing wrong with it. But from a dignity standpoint, or like, you know, I've been working this whole time to say that sentence, like, hey, I'm a traveling artist and I have a clothing line, because this is what I'm extremely passionate to do or about, right? So if I can do that while paying my bills and travel and be with my best friends, I mean, dude, that is just I'm very lucky and happy and blessed. So really, I've kind of made it in a way, and I feel very successful just in that sentence. But mind you, I still got to learn the business side and the tax side, and like I just got my first LLC and I got a business card, and you know, but I'm still like, I've leveled up just to be at another like baby, like rookie stage. Yeah. You know what I mean? So,
you sound like me in so many ways, man. Like, I don't know if you know, a lot of people know, like I started off as a DJ. You know, I did that for many years, went to school for like engineering and slowly transitioned into the film. And, you know, like you said, like my dreams were up here and I wanted to be a superstar and wanted all of these things. And, you know, as the journey goes on, like to me, my ultimate happiness is to do what I love to do, get paid for it, and say that's all I do. Like, you know, like I don't do this and then I have a part-time job, or I'm doing this, but I can't take care of myself and my family, so I have to work this other job. Like basically the same thing that you said. Like, you know, like it changes as you figure things out a little bit more. So what are the big dreams, the scary goals, the goals that you're like, damn, like I want them to happen, but like, wow, like they're so big that like, if that were to ever really come true, like, damn. Like, so what's the big ones?
So my heart of hearts, I'm an entertainer, right? So like some people perform and they perform really well, but I'm the guy that wants explosions in my set. I want 14 backing dancers. I basically want like the big show that you could possibly get. That's goals, in which case that comes with like 10,000 people in the stands. The most I've ever hit is like 3,000, I think, and I did thousands several times. But I mean, we're talking giant. But you know, that's the scary shit. It's like, all right, here's an hour-long routine of your own original music and all these people and choreograph and all that stuff. So I'd say that's my big dream from a rapper's perspective. DJing has always been there because you can make money. I love DJing, but that can kind of get in where it fit in, you know? Yeah. From a clothing design thing, like I just love to be creative as possible, man, and just that also goes into entertainment. I had my first fashion show in March, and shout out to DOA. They were B-boys there, and they made such a huge difference in the entertainment value. You know, DJ Dollar Menu, not only did he do a great job of DJing, but he put on a performance, and they wore Livelihood clothes, and it was so dope. Tyree always putting on a good show. Yeah. So like I had an all-star studded cast to help me out, and everybody was helping me. So I try to get creative with, you know, the music I play, the lighting, the whatever, you know, like low-key one of my inspirations is like Tyler. Tyler does, yeah. So if you see one of his golf fashion shows, bro, it is an experience. He is on some other shit. And then you see him live, you know, the stage set up like crazy. There's a huge Jumbotron with, you know, I mean, dude, it's incredible, right? So I'd say I'm not like directly influenced by Tyler, but he's doing the same shit that I'm doing, but on like the ideal level that I would love to do it when it comes to big scale, huge, just quality, unique, innovative originality. Tyler oozes that shit, and I would love to be considered in that category, you know.
What's going on, guys? Some 5 Films here. If you live in Charleston or the surrounding areas and you need a videographer, please let me know. Whether it's a wedding, corporate event, live performance, I do a little bit of everything. So once again, please let me know. Now let's get back to the interview. You're watching Sun 5 Films TV. Yeah, so I remember the show that I did and came through and filmed with you at Tobin's Market, man, and I was just real impressed by, of course, you know, I was working, but I was still paying attention to everything that was going on. I was just real impressed, like, you know, how you just got on stage and, you know, you had that stage presence and, you know, like you came through and, you know, you had the DJ and you changed your clothes and, you know, you had the balloons and you just had, you had the basically the crowd in the palm of your hands, man. Like I was real impressed by that. And, you know, I've known that, you know, I haven't seen a lot of your shows and been to a lot of things since then, but, you know, I see the posts on social media and they've gotten even bigger and better than that. So like, where did that showmanship come from? Did you always have that? And what makes it just so important for you to want to have just such a great show?
Yeah, man, it's kind of one of those things that just naturally happened. I didn't really have to like make big decisions. The very first show I ever had, I was with like, we were like 6 to 9 piece band. We were called The Balance. At that time when I was 21, there was an MC in the band. There were 3 MCs. One MC fell out, so there was an open slot for that. I went and tried out for it. Now I'm the MC, and we've been practicing at the practice spot, but it's just been practice and rehearsals.
Right.
So come showtime, we haven't had any dialogue about how things are going to happen, who's going to say what in a dress, whatever. And I just naturally grabbed the crowd by the horns, like immediately. It was just in me like that to. If there was announcements, I went ahead and took it upon myself immediately to be like, yo, we got shirts, we got shows coming up, whatever. And I'm the youngest in the group and the newest guy. It's my first show.
Right.
And immediately I was the one that was like, when I say this, you say that, put your hands up. And I was like the middle guy that was stage front. So it was one of those things that just always naturally came to me, which ironically enough, my name is Live. And out of anybody that like, any of the groups that I've ever been affiliated with or worked with or partners or friends that I've worked with, I've been the most passionate about the overall live performance. Because nowadays, man, people can get your music, right? When's the last time you bought music? But you might spend $60 to go see Travis Scott or more.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the money is how entertaining can your live show get. But mind you, I've been on that 18 years ago. I was just already very passionate about how can I be captivating as possible? You know what I mean? Especially being like a white MC in a room full of skeptics. Because every show I go to, no matter what, I always pretend like, here's a room full of strangers. What is my best attempt at winning over a bunch of strangers that are skeptical about really any hip hop artist, especially you're a white guy? It's like, all right, let's see it, you know?
Yeah.
Luckily, they put the bar so low that's easy for me to exceed expectations. So I think like they get caught off guard a little bit as well. So that tends to work in my favor a little bit. Long story short though, man, I really, you know, if I have a 45-minute set or an hour set, I want your undivided attention the whole time, but you got to earn that shit. You know what I mean? You can't just get up there and be like, I want everybody to pay attention to me. You got to be dope enough and figure out a way to put the brakes, the pause, the stops, to, you know, have your funny moments like a comedian, but then also have the moments where you touch their heart like a preacher, and then show them that you also know how to ball out too. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful concoction of all that, and you got to spin it in your way and your brand as to what kind of artist you are. So
Did that come naturally? Like,
always.
It came naturally? You never had like, I mean, I know you got to practice and figure things out, but did you ever like think like, how am I going to do this, or get up there and be nervous, or?
Well, you played sports. Did you grow up playing sports?
A little bit, man. Like not to the point that like I was on, I would play like summer leagues and do stuff like that, but never on like high school teams or anything like that.
So I was like starting point guard all throughout high school. High school, the best way to explain it is like when you got a game, you come out and you're running through the cheerleaders and the gym's packed and y'all the main event, you got your crispy, clean white jerseys on and you're running out, you're doing layups. All of it is like kind of butterfly at first, even when the tip off and you do a couple plays. But like after the first couple plays, you might as well be on the blacktop now. Now we're just hooping. We hooping now. But at first, it's lights, camera, action, right? Sometimes the show, especially the bigger it gets, the more I will kind of think about it. But I seek those. I've done so many smaller shows that I don't even necessarily have to overthink them or rehearse them or anything. And I just kind of, mind you, I've been doing it for 18 years. So, you know, the last time I really got overwhelmed with you know, bubble guts or you know what I'm saying, butterflies, if you will. We were in Asheville. We opened up for Talib Kweli on New Year's night, and New Year's night was on a Saturday. So here's a sold out show, but the energy is lit because it's literally the ball drops that night, and we going right before Talib. There's 1,100 people there on New Year's night on a Saturday at the biggest stage in the city, and I remember just peeking my head through the curtains, and I seen all those people, and like they're just talking, and I hear the roar, and because there's so many people just vibing, talking, getting beers, I'm like, holy shit, fellas, we here. This is some real shit, you know what I mean? But I live for moments like that because you got to work to get to there. But then once I got up there, once you get through that first verse, you might as well be in the kitchen rapping with your homies after that. It's just like ballpark stuff, especially the moment you say, y'all make some noise, and you hear everybody on your side. At that point, you got them all in the palm of your hand. Right. Honestly, bro, it's probably harder to rock a room full. If there were 10 people in your living room right now and I had to impress them, it's way harder to do that
I've
than
heard
it's
that.
1,100 people.
Yeah, I heard that from so many people. It's like
so
harder.
hard.
With
It really
the less
is.
people, it's harder to do.
But there's an art form to both, and I think the dopest people know how to adapt and could, you know, put on an entertaining performance either way, you know.
Yeah. You got so many, like, we could talk all day because you got so many things about you, so many different things that you do. Like, let's talk about the merch a little bit more, because, not even merch, clothing line. Because when I did the Tobin's Market show with you, it was just merch. It was a merch table then. It wasn't even what it is now. So how did that even come to getting to the point to how you have it now?
I love telling this story. It's such a cool story. You're right. That was the first show I ever had merch, and I did great that night. That was fantastic, and such a good night for me that night. So yeah, first, the only reason why I had shirts and merch in the first place is because I put myself in the audience member, right? I'm like, all right, if I'm going to I don't know Mike Live, but I'm going to a show. Before I even see him hit the stage, what subliminal message is telling me this guy's legit? What it says he's like standing out from his peers. And I was like, well, yo, if you go see Wu-Tang or Drake or anybody, they don't got a clothing line, but you can buy a shit ton of clothes from them while they're there. And I was like, all right, I need to have some merch, and I need to have people working my table so I look professional and legit no matter who comes in. So it was really just that at first, and I was talking about knockoffs and spinoffs, man. I was really ripping off like Fear God and Kanye and shit like that. We don't got to go there, but
Right.
So I was at the gym one day in James Island. I was at the Gold's Gym, and I seen this guy I didn't even know at the time. He was wearing Eric Emanuel shorts, which are like $300 basketball shorts. You probably know about them. Really,
Right.
you don't see them often, but if you're a sneakerhead and you see it, you know, I kind of wanted to go up and tell him. But we're also at the gym, and I don't know this guy, so it's kind of like, do you do it, or you just be like, I know those and keep it hot? I said, you know what, man, I'm just going to tell you. I was like, yo, sorry to bother you, just want to say the shorts are fire. And he was like, what size you wear? Which I thought was an odd response, because normally it'd be like, appreciate it, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you just keep it hot. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, I own Cola Kicks, which Cola Kicks is like, when I die and go to heaven, there's a room in my heaven that looks like the store Cola Kicks.
Right.
So I immediately was like, man, are you kidding me? I love that store. It's so dope. I love shoes and stuff. And I was just like, I happened to be wearing one of my shirts. I was like, what's it take to get some clothes in there? He was like, you know what? We're about to move to the Tanger Outlet Mall in a few months. Stay in touch when we work out something. Sure enough, this March will make 2 years ago that happened, right? So the man kept his word, and then they opened up a store in New York, and then he blessed me by putting me in New York. So, you know, I quit my job this past December, almost a year ago, and it basically, I'm able to live the life that I want. I've traveled more than ever than I have this year, all because I went to a guy and said, I like your shorts.
Yeah.
So the reason why I like telling that story is because we all heard the saying, like, don't be a dick, but this is actually like a proactive call to action to say, go out of your way to be kind.
Right.
Like, I didn't have to go out of my way to speak up and say I like your shorts, but because I did, it blesses me every day. Big part of the reason why I'm here talking to you right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So go out of your way, say something dope to somebody. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. You never know what it could do for your future, man.
Yeah. So let's just talk about how you quit your job, man. You know, like I quit my job 6, 7 years ago. You know, there's been times where, you know, you got to work a little part-time job, you know, to keep things going. But, you know, I haven't worked a full-time job in like 6, 7 years. So, you know, I'm in that boat too. And, you know, it has its ups and downs. It has its struggles. And how have you been, how's it been? How have you been dealing with it? Talk about the good, the bad. You know, there's people who might be watching this right now who like, I want to quit my job too. So, like, just talk about it a little bit.
I got lucky enough and blessed to get in those 2 Tanger outlet malls. So I feel like if that didn't happen to me, I wouldn't have any passive income coming in. Because like it or not, as a rapper, it's different if you play keys in town. You could play keys for any band, or you're a drummer. These musicians can plug and play with 7 different bands in town and make money. But as an original white rapper, there's not a lot of bread in there unless you know how to finagle it and hopefully go on tour and do some stuff. DJing is a little different. You can make some decent money on DJing if you get it out there. But the clothing line really helped me. However, with that being said, you know, I'm doing good enough because at the end of the day, I'm an artist, man. I'm not a booking or I'm not an accountant. I'm not the tax guy. You know what I mean? To be a business, there's a lot of like email, opening the mail, reading the letters, and you know, there's a lot of professional business shit that I am horrible at that I'm learning right now. But it takes you doing that kind of stuff to get legit, and I'm only doing that recently, right? So I've been an entrepreneur for a little less than a year, but for most of that, I've been making my bread, but it's kind of loose and tacky at the moment, considering how tight I eventually want it to be on the book as far as anything. I'm trying my best to be professional, legit, but it's not that easy to just be like, all right, everything's perfect and here's my credit and stuff. So yeah, to anybody that's trying to be an entrepreneur, I mean, hopefully you got some good people in your life that can kind of hold your hand through LLCs and trademarks and BMIs and stuff like that, because there's plenty of that shit I'm still learning. I'm an artist. I wish I had enough money I could delegate that responsibility to somebody and pay them and trust them, but I don't. So therefore, your boy's got to like learn a whole new trade. I'm just like,
right, man. We the same, man. You just light skinned, man. Like, I just got my LLC last year too, man. And there's so many things you have to learn, and you're trying to, you know, take care of yourself and family and learn at the same time, man. Like, I'm still learning how to film. I'm still learning how to edit. I'm learning the business, getting the LLC and copyrights.
But at the end of the day, you're passionate about this.
Right.
Like, if you could just do this, you'd be good. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, very true, but I like to know just because.
Good for you. See, that's where we differ.
I don't want to know because like I care about it, but I want to know just because like I just need to know the ins and outs, but like also like, I mean, maybe you don't trust people and you got to be like, yo, 100%. Are you doing this right? So maybe, you know, I do get to the point that I can delegate this to other people, but I still want to know how to do these things just in case I got to go back and be like, yo, was this contract done right? Was this email sent out correctly? Did you, like, I want to know just in case. Like,
no, you're absolutely right. You always, as a man of your business, you should be somewhat in the know, 100%. You're right. You also sound very similar to my homie Ill Tactics. Shout out to Ill Tac. Ill Tac has always been the guy that's been in my corner, that's encouraging me on all this kind of stuff. But he took the approach of he seems to be optimistic about learning it, and he makes it seem like fun because of his relationship with that whole process and how he views it. Mine's completely opposite, but I'm trying, like, the more I'm around him and talk to him about it, that enthusiasm and like willingness to learn, it rubs off on me. It's kind of contagious, but really it's something I have to grow into, because truthfully, this shit is just not me. I'm not the read or email, all that kind of shit. Like, it's just, I got my strengths and my weaknesses, and it's tough to teach an old dog new tricks, you know what I'm saying? And here's some new tricks that are really important that I need to figure out. But it's a matter of how I choose to perceive it. And right now I don't have the best perception to help me be willing to fucking be proactive and learn this bullshit, because I don't know.
I don't want to do it, but I feel like it's important. And then one day when we get to the point that we are in a position, I want to know how to do it, but I won't necessarily be doing it. And you got to know how to do these things, man. And I just wanted to ask you, you know, like, I guess, who's in your corner? Like, like who are those supporters that you have that like you could, because this isn't the easy road that we go down, and I definitely get lonely in the sense of like people don't want the same things that I want, or they don't see life how I see life. So who are those people who keep you going? And then also who are those people that like, I guess are like-minded that you can talk to kind of, inspire you to be like, like we're similar, and you can help me out just by even just having the conversation with.
Man, I tell you what, people that are in my corner, everybody that was affiliated with my I don't want to necessarily name drop too much because I'll leave out names, but like Delma has been in my corner, man, and Delma is one of the DOA B-boys, among other things. He raps and is a model, and he's just an incredible human being all around. Mm-hmm. His brother is Tahu. Tahu's an incredible B-boy, ambassador for the culture. We just had a great talk yesterday. So really the whole B-boy community, those two brothers right there, though, are very much, I love those guys to death, and I feel like if I need them in any way, shape, or form, I can call them up and they would look out for me, because we just look out for each other. If they need a little something or whatever, we've looked out, After this meeting, I'm meeting up with my homie Jesse and Caleb. They've been really helping me with the livelihood side of things. Like I'm trying to get more female clothes involved, get my own line stuff growing. So they're definitely in my corner. They've been in my corner for probably the past several months now. Mm-hmm. And we have regular meetings every Tuesday, and we're trying to build and grow. My homegirl Michael has been incredible since day one. We all get busy from time to time, so sometimes that support comes in waves, but I know she's always there and loves me and shit like that. I'd say China's there, and there's plenty of people on the fashion side of stuff. As far as rapping, my two best friends back home, Crazy J, Kevin, they've been my anchor since day one. If I have a verse or idea, if I need money for recording or a laptop or whatever, like these are people that have always been there from day one. Yeah. DJing is kind of a side hobby stuff, but I mean somebody like Dollar Menu has always been open ears and arms if I ever needed to learn anything. Norway's incredible. Right. Like I said, I don't want to name drop too much because there's people that I know that I'll leave out, because I do got a lot of incredible people in my life that I love and cherish, not only as artists but friendships and real life homies, so I apologize if whoever I may have left out, because there is a ton of people, but yeah, man, I got a lot of love and support in a lot of those areas, and I just very happy, man.
Yeah, that's super important, man. That's super big. Like I think I have my people who believe in me and support me too, but it's hard to find. I mean, you could have those people, but I think it's super hard to find the people who we have similar journeys, or we are like-minded, because you can have some of the best people in love and they care about you, but they don't think like how you do, and they don't want the things that you want out of life. And the journey that we're going down is hard and it's rough, and there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. And the person there's nothing wrong with this, just getting up every day, they go to work, they come home, they kind of relax, and they don't think me. I mean, probably you too, and most creators and people who are trying to be entrepreneurs, they don't think like us, because they live just a consistent life of, this is what I do every day, and that's probably all I want. But like, when I'm trying to talk to a person about my big dreams, my big goals, and I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do that, I feel alone. I feel alone a lot of times, man. So it's super important to have people in your corner just to.
Hey, I will say this. I know you're interviewing me, but we're going to flip it real quick, because this is something I want to know too.
What's that?
What exactly is your, I've always seen you with the camera, but you went from like shooting music videos to photography to this. This is brand new. You know what I mean?
It's not brand new. It's new to you.
Like I said, I've known you for 5 years. I've never seen you with a backdrop doing this, right?
Right.
So I've known you as the photographer first.
A little bit.
And
yeah.
then well, that's how I met you. It was mainly
Yeah.
photography, but then you was getting into videography. You were
Right.
doing live shows and stuff
Right.
like that. So this is a new wave here. But so long story short, where are you going, man? What's the big?
All right. Well, just to
Who are these people that don't believe in you?
Nah,
and what is
I got
the
lots of
dream?
people who believe in me, but I don't like when I get on the phone and talk to somebody, and these are people who are like family and great friends that I've known most of my lives. Like there's nobody that is a close friend that's a entrepreneur or a business person and has all of these things where like they have big goals and big dreams. So like I don't want to mix that up to feel like that like people don't believe in me and support me. But I mean, just to answer
But it's different though.
Yeah.
But what is the where do you see yourself?
Where do I see myself? All right, just to backtrack, man. Like this is new in a sense to you, but like I DJ for most of my life, and I did mixtapes, and I had my own little spin on like Smack DVDs, and you know what I'm saying. I carried a camera around, and I interviewed people, but it was more in a sense of it was fun to me, and I wasn't a videographer. And now I'm just kind of going back into what I was doing 15 years ago, where I was interviewing people and putting people on platforms to kind of let them tell their story and be known for just a little bit of what I could do. I'm just now doing it in a professional way because I've learned some things about actually being a videographer and filming. Before it was real raw, when I just kind of picked the camera up and went. Now it's like you have lights and you have microphones and you have backdrops, and I'm doing it in a more professional way. So just to answer your question, man, like some of my big goals are I want to continue filming. Big goals, I mean big gigs. But the main things that I really want to do is have shows. And this is a stepping stone to me having my own shows and network and, you know, put out my own projects and put out things that are mine, like, you know, like original pieces of work. So
when you say show, you mean like on national television? Or what is the...
I mean, in a sense, like, but like I would have...
Because nowadays, sorry to interrupt you, nowadays you don't even have to have that. I mean, think about all the stuff that is incredibly successful via Instagram or, you know, these things. So you don't even have to have the national television platform anymore to consider run the world, you know?
Yeah,
so.
Like I don't want it to be... I guess it would be ownership of like whatever I'm doing, whatever I create, whatever I produce and film, it would be a show that I would have. But if you went to, it wouldn't be on YouTube or something like that. It would be my own outlet, whether that's an app, whether that's a channel, whether that's a network, whatever. It would be mine, all mine. So yeah, those are the big goals, man. Like TV shows, documentaries, like doing what I'm doing now, but just doing it on a bigger scale.
Right.
Yeah, and this is just like the stepping stones, man. Like, you know, like going back to what I was doing before, incorporating it with what I've learned over the years, and just bringing it all together.
You think you'll stick with this, Sunfire Films?
I mean, I don't know. Like it would be something maybe incorporated with me. It might change a little bit, but this would be the beginning of the transition to be like, I know who he is and what he's doing, and now he has his own network.
Well, you're literally the face of the brand, bro. And I love Sunfire because it reminds me of Sundance. Didn't Sundance do documentaries and shit?
Sundance Studio, like Sundance Studio.
Yeah, so you're on your Sunfire shit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
but this
man.
would be the beginning, man. Like, it might change a little bit, but it wouldn't change to the point that people don't know it's
Right.
But yeah, man, that's the big goals, man. Big goals, big dreams.
So you have your own TV station and your own shows, and these shows would be interviews.
They would be, damn man, he interviewing me now. They would be.
These are genuine questions, by the way. I'm not trying to like hijack your TV station, man.
It would be like I'm not big on like created stories, so it wouldn't be like a TV show where it's like actors, but it would be like real life stuff. Like it might be interviews, it might be a cooking show, but the cooking show is like I put the show together and it's like a real show. It's not like actors, or it could be documentaries, but that's like real people, you know, like, so everything that I would probably ultimately want to do, if it is a TV show, it's like real life things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
More
so,
authentic, not just
yeah.
makeup.
I don't want to do
or
acting. I want to do like real life, like pieces of people's lives and stories. And
sounds like a nice blend of like Vlad TV meets David Letterman in a way, where it's almost a talk show kind of thing, but not silly. Because Vlad will ask the serious questions. It's not a funny thing, you know, and he gets real people in there. Whereas sometimes the Late Show is more of like, what can we say that's funny and make things laugh, and like not as, it don't sound as real or authentic as you would hope or want it to be. You know, is that a decent way to like somewhat what you're doing? Entertaining interviews, but real shit.
Yeah, but it wouldn't necessarily be just interviews. Like if you were a chef and we just did a piece all on you, and it's your everyday life, you cooking, you moving around. I don't want to say reality TV, but like just this is your story, your show. It's real. It's not actors. And then, you know, like it might be like I take a show where we recreate the basement, and it's like we're in the studio, or we're sitting down with different rappers or different singers, and we're talking and doing different things, man. Like there's a wide range of things that I want to do, but I want them to be real stories, real shows. Definitely dive into documentaries too, because I've always loved like watching, like back in the day, VH1, like the VH1, like what is it, the I forget, it's like
behind the scenes shit or whatever.
Yeah,
or
like
making of the music or whatever.
Yeah, like shows
I can't
like
remember what it's called, but yeah, I know what you're talking
Behind
about.
the Music.
Behind the music. I think I said everything but that combination. Same words, but not that combination.
Yeah, like I definitely want to do documentaries. I got some things I'm working on with that too.
What's it take to get a Mike Live documentary, man?
Man, let's do it, man. Let's do it, man.
Give me a couple more years, man. I just spilled all the beans here. There's no reason to watch it now.
Yeah, but we got a lot of things coming, and this is just the beginning of like me figuring out what I want to do and how it's going to be put together. What's going on, guys? Some 5 Films here. If you made it this far into the interview, thank you. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Now let's get back to the interview. You're watching Some 5 Films TV. We live in this world, man, where most of the time people only see our good moments, man. You know, they see the highlight reel. But, you know, like, we all have our ups, but we all have our downs, too. Like, what is a hard day look like for Mike Live, man? And, like, how do you, like, overcome those hard days, man? Like, just talk about just, you know, like, I know there's days that, you know, it's rough, because it's rough for me too. It's rough for all of us, man. So like, what's a hard day look like, and how do you just overcome that?
Let's see, a hard day, man. I mean, obviously, anytime finances get tight, that makes things hard. It makes you like frustrated and irritated, because this life revolves around money. No matter what you try to do, cute, sweet, big, small, somebody's looking for some money from your ass one way or another, you know? So it takes money to make this world go round. So if I didn't sell a lot of shows or a lot of clothes or not a lot of shows or whatever the case may be, that gets that puts a lot of strenuous stress on the brain and how you move, you know, and how confidently you move. So that, and like I said, I'm also not really, I'm having to train myself to like things that I don't, such as, you know, fine print and emails that deal with the LLC and stuff like that, or, you know, learning about the tax situation. Like, you know, this isn't things I'm enthusiastically going for or about, but I have to make myself. So those are tough days to be the grown-up business side of me, you know what I mean? Because what's fun is to do here's the shirt, here's my new track, here's me performing, here's, you know, that's my wheelhouse and comes natural. But I say you know what makes things better is all those people I just mentioned, the people that actually believe in you and support you and like legitimately believe in you. You know what I mean? Like I said, there's so many other people I sit here. I just thought of more and more people that aren't even, they're just legitimate supporters, right? So they're not fellow artists that understand the entrepreneurial grind and stuff, which that's cool because we can relate. But it's also beautiful to have the blue collar person that is like a legitimate, just strictly a huge fan of you and really believes in you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have moments like that. Not so long ago, I was walking down the street and a guy peeks his head out of his car. It's like 5 people deep in his car, and they're like, "Yo, do you rap?" I was like, "Yeah." Now, meanwhile, I'm in my head. My car's getting worked on. They're texting me stuff that I need that I don't need, and I'm just like, just give me an oil change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they say, "You rap?" I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Did you open up for OGZ at the music forum?" I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Yo, you crushed it, blah blah blah." And I was just like, "Wow," it touched my heart. Like that.
Yeah.
That little small gesture means a lot. Whenever this person I don't know recognized me from a random show, and you know, I didn't really get paid a ton for that show, but sometimes that right there, the feeling of that is worth a lot of money to me. You know what I'm saying? Or you know, priceless. Even last night, I went on a date with a girl. It was a first date, and we're walking down the sidewalk. It's a true story.
Yeah.
And this girl was like, "Hey, wait, do you rap?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh my God, I seen you." She's like, "I'm so sorry. I'm not." She was like, "I got a boyfriend." Like, started talking to me.
Right.
She's like, "I seen you at the poorhouse, and I gotta be honest, I'm Latina, and you know, white people get up there and rap." She went through the whole spiel, and I was like, "Thanks." And meanwhile, I'm like, it couldn't happen better because I'm on a first date with this hot girl. And meanwhile, I was like, "Man, I should have paid you to do this." Like, thank you. I look like a god now.
Yeah, she helped you out.
Long story short, those things don't happen. I just plucked out 2 that happened recently, but really that doesn't happen that often, to be quite honest. So whenever it does, damn, it feels special, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if everybody's watched one of your videos. Somebody was like, "Wait a minute, you filmed that? What's the name or whatever?" Like, great job. You know, it feels really good. And you might have not got paid to do that, a lot of money to do that video, but then you have a legitimate fan of your artwork. Sometimes that's priceless. So between that kind of stuff and just like best friends that's been in my corner since day one, that I can call and talk to, and like, you know, SK the Novelist is a close homie of mine, and you know, if we can relate on some stuff, or even see Shreve, there's a lot of people. So yeah, man.
When you're stressed out, man, like what's some things you do to, you know, loosen up, or you know, I know you work out, like, you know what I'm saying, some people go for walks, some people, you know, like what are some things, like if Mike Live is stressed out, like you do this and you start to feel a little bit better?
I mean, a lot of times it's calling those people, to be honest, man. Sometimes just venting and getting it off your chest depending on what the issue is, would determine like who I call. You know what I'm saying? If it's strictly rap shit, then I'll call this guy. If it's deeper than that, then maybe I'll call these people or whatever. But I have people in my life I can just say, "Hey, man, shit's real right now. Like, you got a minute," and just to get it off your chest. But not only do you get it off your chest and that helps, but a good friend knows how to answer these questions and kind of reassure you and make you feel good. You know what I mean? And say, you know what, at the end of the day, remind you who you are, what you've done, where you came from, what you got going on. And then a lot of times be like, "Yo, if you need blah, 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 I got you." So getting off your chest helps. And then knowing you have a friend that's like, "By the way, you're still that guy, and if worst comes to worst, I got you on this front and this front, if whatever you're stressed about." So really just having that, your family you can call on, to be honest, and lean on sometimes, you know. Luckily that doesn't, I'm a pretty stable guy, so it don't happen to me a lot, but if it happens, you know, they there for me.
I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, man, but when you're old, super gray, super, you know.
Like next year, you talking like?
Like, you know, super old. You know, you sitting in that rocking chair. You watching old episodes of Matlock or something, man. Like, what do you?
You threw out Matlock, bro.
Matlock.
I love it. Half of your viewers ain't gonna know.
They ain't gonna know, but we know. Like, what do you want to look back at your life to be like? This is what I accomplished. This is what I did. And also, what do you feel like your purpose is?
When I look back, let's see. Let's see. You know, you always want to. I mean, I think relationships and how you treat people in general, you know, kind of finding a way to give back and like I think self-sacrifice. I mean, the guy that I complimented his shorts and he allowed me into these 2 stories. He didn't have to do that, but that continues to bless me every day. So it's like, how can I, if I can bigger and better my platform, how can I find ways to impact people's lives the way that guy impacted me, right? And you know, just build and establish relationships. I don't always do this, but like I was on tour with the homies and there was an old woman walking up. I mean, she was like hunched over old, and I just ran over and grabbed the door for her real quick, you know? I'm not saying I'm perfect and I do that every time, but I happened to do it that day, and it just reminds you like, yo, look for these opportunities to give back and kind of do small acts of kindness and or self-sacrificing with nothing in return. A lot of times it feels better to give than to receive. And then, you know, just be a good quality friend and or family member to your people. I'm not perfect. These are things that I hope to grow and work on. But that's what another cool thing about being on the scene. When I look around at a lot of the artists in my life that are a part of like hip hop rappers and shit that are part of the scene, quality ass people, man. This is really cool, down to earth people. So I don't know. I just hope to impact everybody positively and as much as I can the way that they impacted me. At the end of the day, I got a big heart. I'm a bigger guy, so but I'm not a fighter. I'm not a gangster. I'm not a tough guy. I got those people in my life if I need them, right? But at the end of the day, man, I think it's gonna boil down to self-sacrificing, finding your moment of opportunity to give back, because you never know what people got going on in their life, right? Somebody could be being a dickhead or a drunk douchebag and come to find you, be like, man, what the fuck's wrong with you? And then you realize his mom died 2 days later, and you're like, let me give you a hug. When really at first you were just about to be a judgmental asshole, and then you don't know what this man's going through really in his life. So I think having a little bit of patience and sympathy for humanity, which is really hard in a very egotistical world where you know, it's a dog-eat-dog world, particularly in America, I feel like, you know, not that I'm some cultured guy and travel the world, but yeah, man, I think when it's all said and done, look back, somebody be like, yo, Mike was a solid guy. He looked after me. Like, he didn't have to do blah, 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 but he did. And, you know, and I want to be able to do these type of things, not from an egotistical standpoint, but because it's kind of universal law and harmony and like good karma building. You know what I mean? So in other words, you can do these things, but are you doing them from the right place? Right, so I hope to be able to do all those I want to be the dope ass superhero in the movie at the end of the day. I want to beat up the bully and help the grandma across the street. I want to be that guy.
Okay. Best piece of advice somebody ever told you or taught you?
Yo, this is awesome. I'll never forget this. I might get this tattooed on me one day. I put it in a hook that's unreleased. I was going through it mentally so bad one time, and I was young, and I'm just like overthinking the shit out of everything. And my best friend, I was living with him at the time because my mom had kicked me out, and both of his parents are preachers, and they were like super good people and just really lived that life about that Bible. And I went to this man really broken and hurt, and I didn't really need all the books of the Bible thrown at me like a normal pastor would. And I didn't tell him that. And he just kind of knew to like, because when you talk to a preacher, normally like, well, in Luke chapter what's the name? Here's a story. And like, there you go. You got it, whippersnapper, you know? This man spared me all that. And he said, Mike, because sometimes you just need, break it down to the basics. Like, don't overthink it. Like, keep it right there. He said, Mike, if you ever want to be where God is, walk in love. No matter who you talk to, what you touch, if it's a tree in the woods, a piece of trash, this person's aunt. If you walk in love, you'll always be in God's light, and you'll light, and God will touch everything that you do and everything. So I said, a wise man told me when I was awful young, if you ever want to be with God, walk in love. That's the end part of that hook. So I think that's some of the real shit, because that right there, like I said, he could have made that very Christian or very King James Version Bible or Southern Baptist Pentecostal preaching, but he just stripped all that away and was like, basically be love, you know what I mean?
Okay, man. So, what's one thing that people don't know about you, or something that people may think about you and it's not that? It might be a misconception.
I don't know. I really don't know. What do people think about me?
Or it could be, I mean, you could answer either or. Like what's something that people don't know about you, or what is something that people think about you and it's not right?
I don't know about either one of those. So because I've been a hip hop artist for so long, I don't think a lot of people know that my gateway into music was metal, and my yin and yang is like really brutal metal. Like I love heavy ass metal that is probably pretty abrasive to the average person, unless
So is
you're
that
a
like
metalhead.
is that the scream music? Is that
It gets pretty brutal, man. Yeah, it's screaming and growling, and it's pretty crazy. I don't like it for that aspect, but I was a drummer, so I listen to metal from a musical standpoint. It's funny. So metal, I don't give a shit about the lyrics. In fact, I hope I don't ever understand the lyrics because I listen to it from a musical writing standpoint, and I love drums. So I was a metal drummer. I was in a band for 2 years in high school. We did the talent show in a metal band. We dressed up like Slipknot and got up there and raised hell, you know?
Right.
So my yin and yang is I absolutely love metal, and I used to be a metal drummer before I even knew that I would ever get into hip-hop music. And then hip-hop kind of took. That's probably a fun fact that the average, unless you know me from back in the day, because I don't play drums anymore, and you know, you probably only know me via hip hop, so you assume that I'm the furthest thing from metal, when really that was my original shit, and I love it. And to this day, I'll be at the gym listening to some shit you probably wouldn't want to hear.
Right.
So I love me some metal, and yeah, man, I guess that's the main thing. Before as a conception about me, I don't know. I try not to get too caught up into that and overthinking that, because I feel like if you ain't careful, that's just not even good shit to entertain in the first place. Like, all these people think I'm this way when I'm not. It's like, at the end of the day, let them fucking think whatever they want to think, right? You know, so.
Word, man. I appreciate your time, man. You know, anybody who takes the time to sit with me and you know, you got a million things to do, and I got a million things to do. So anybody who just takes the time out of their day to sit down with me, I really appreciate it, man. I know some super cool, super dope people. So, you know, I always wanted to get back to what I was doing before. And, you know, I know you got so much going on, man, so you definitely want to give your contacts and anything else you want to let people know, let them know.
Let's see, man. Mike Livelihood, that is my Instagram. It's also my Cash App and Venmo. Oh, we gotta plug that, right? If you're in the New York area, there's a Tanger Outlet Mall in New York, and on Long Island in Deer Park. So I'm in the Cola Cakes there. If you're in the Charleston area here, if you go to the Tanger Outlet Mall in North Charleston, I'm in the Cola Cakes there as well. So if you want to come by and support, I also have a few clothes in Made in Heaven. Shout out to homegirl Natalie. That is downtown Charleston off Spring Street. And other than that, if you follow my gram and you end up seeing anything I always encourage people. I post stuff on my stories all the time. If you see something you like, slide in my DMs. Say, I don't care where you live. Like, say, hey, you got a large in that? I'll ship it out to you. Other than that, yeah, hopefully just keep up. Let's have a good time. Build the movement and keep it positively moving forward, right?
Right, man. But yeah, man, I am Sun5 Films.
Mike Live.
Mike Live, and you're watching Sun5 Films TV.
That's my daddy.